tiniest hint of a bell today. Welcome. What a beautiful way to start this effervescence, really allowing this effervescence to be here. You know, there are so many times we go somewhere and we manipulate who we are and how we are. So maybe we go to church and we feel we have to be quiet and respectful, or we come to satsang, we feel we have to be silent, or we go to a party and we feel we have to be uplifted and engaged, rather than just allowing what's here, just as we are. Just as we are. And so there's an invitation here today to be as we are, to see where these ideas that we have affect every area of life. And so we have a theme today, which is money, desire, and freedom. And so I'd like that we start off just introducing yourself and what is it that has you be here today. And it may be to do with the words or the theme of the retreat. It may be something else. And so we can just go around the room and share. So this theme, money, desire, and freedom. We might start with desire. And what this really is, this desire. Because we often hear in spiritual circles and in satsang gatherings, both around money and desire, that it shouldn't be, that desire shouldn't be. And so I really want us to explore what the nature of desire really is. So we have this that's wide open consciousness, so wide, so vast. And it, of its nature, needs nothing in order to be. And it experiences itself through form, through any form, not just human form, through form. And then at some point, there's what we call living form. So whether it's plant or animal or human, living form. And so there's this natural desire that comes through consciousness, through the form, for life, just for life. And then there's a new desire that comes through for survival of the life. And we see it everywhere where there's living form. There's this birthing and dying of form. We see it in the solar system, we see it with the planets, and we see it here in living form. So there's this desire for the survival then of the living form. And that desire manifests in different ways, and it's beautiful that we can see it easily when we look to nature. So we see the plants, how the seed is formed, because originally there wasn't seed. So how the seed is formed and how that allows the survival of form. And then how other species are brought in to enable the survival of form. And so as human beings, we're no different to that. There's this force moving through the form, desiring some kind of continuum of life. So it's a natural desire of life, of form, this to survive. And there are the different flavours that we see of that. So the sexual flavour to procreate, to enable the form to continue, the social aspect of that to enable the form to continue, and the self-preservation of that. And we see that, even in the plant kingdom, there are certain plants that have a poisonous layer or thorns, so they won't be eaten. So we see it in form, these three flavours. In the human being, we have the mind that has been ignited, if we say it in that way, as part of this survival of form. With the mind, though, has come something else. A belief that we are the form. And with that also comes the belief that we are the survival instinct. That it's who we are. Rather than this natural desire of life through form, suddenly we find we're actually believing that this is who we are. Not just that we are the form, but we're the survival instinct. And then the way this plays out, this desire. And we'll see that through the room there's a subtle change in the flavour of this desire of how we survive. So whether it's through, the word community is brought up, so whether it's through community, whether it's through community love connection, whether it's through our own endeavours, whether it's through what we have. There's so many different ways that this starts to play out. But we believe that we're the desire. Not just that we need the desire in order to survive. We believe we're the desire. I am this. I am this relationship or relating. I am this sensory being. I am this that has or needs or wants. I am this that collects and holds. So if we look at all the different aspects of flavours. So we have all this going on, and then we come to satsang, or we come to some teaching that says not only are you not the body, but also to have no desire is freedom. Then suddenly we're in a catch. We're in a bind. Because there's the natural desire of form to survive. And then we're being told no desire is freedom. So how do we live and experience ourselves truly, freely, while this is going on? there are these ideas of what desire is. So, desire for things or wealth or accumulation. But even the desire to be free, this idea that someday, sometime, something will be other than here, is in a way no different to the desire for things. Because the desire for things, if we have a look at that, the desire for things, whether it's clothing, shelter, whether it is for more things, more and bigger things, gives us a sense of something. So it's linked initially to survival, but it's overlaid on top of. It's that we believe we need it in order to survive. And the desire for something else, something better, something other, something different to now, both of them pull us away from this moment. So initially, the desire to be true, or the prayer to be true, or the desire for freedom is imperative, because it focuses all of our awareness here. Then we also need to look at how this idea of desire is driving, running and motivating us. The desire for something other than here. Yeah, so that's why I started off with there's this natural impulse, this natural desire that comes through the form just for the survival of life as it is. But then as a human being, because we have the mind, we claim ownership of this natural impulse for desire. The word that I'm using though, like this claiming it or the ownership of it's like, it feels like it's us, not separate to us. It's not even me and my desire. It's at first, it's just, I have to have this. I have to have this in my life. So it's desire because I have to have it. It's something I want, something I need, something that, of course, everybody wants it, everybody needs it. Do you see? It's like we claim ownership of it, that it's who we are. And so we need to actually see this, that we've taken up residence in it. That the desire of form for survival, this natural desire of form, is here regardless. Regardless of whether we think about it or not. Regardless of whether we act upon it or not. It's this natural impulse of form.
It's like identifying with the survival drive. Is that what you're saying? It's like the social, the sexual and the self-preservation.
Yeah.
It's like identifying that if it's a social one, I have to have friends and be involved in community and
yes,
be,
yes.
You know,
but you wouldn't even be speaking it like that because you wouldn't know, because you've claimed
feel like you.
It's you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So how your life looks is that you just, so if we look at that with the community and the social sense, then it might just, seems so normal that you're attending things and going places and
On committees.
yeah, but you know, this endless, because it feels like it is you. So there's nothing wrong with this natural desire for survival. It's just that we suffer so much. We don't believe we're suffering because we hear the word suffering and we think suffering is either we're down in a heap on the floor crying our eyes out, or we're destitute somewhere, but we're suffering. We're suffering because we're believing something and we're desiring something that we... See, believing sounds like we know about it. But we haven't quite seen that yet, that we're believing it. This that's us, that we have to have, that we desire so strongly in our life. That's what I mean, claiming ownership. It's like us.
So there's no separate you. I mean, to me, the survival drive is so woven in at such a deep level that the person, including myself this form doesn't actually easily see. It's just responding to some energy that
Yes,
is so,
the form, yes.
so close that it doesn't have even a script, or it has a sort of a script. But
Yes, so that's this absolutely natural impulse of the form. But as a human form, we have the overlay of conscious thought on top. And so then we believe the thought that this impulse is us and that we must respond to it, we must act from it, that our desires must be fulfilled. Because we believe that who we are has to survive. And the way that that's played out, the way that pattern has played out, doesn't seem to match just this open being here. So there's a possibility to be willing to be still, to really experience and explore this movement, this impulse, this that feels like it's us, because it seems like it's always been there, the way we've shown up in the world. And when we're so still and we get to feel this impulse of whether it's fulfilled or not fulfilled, the desire, whatever it is, we get to feel and meet the actual survival impulse underneath it. And as we do, we get to open into this that's untouched by any of it. This that's always here. This that's unaffected, whether there's form or thought or desires met or unmet. Then from here, you experience a natural upwelling through form. And then the quality of desire, if we're going to still use the word desire, the impulse, the quality of impulse is quite different, because it's not in order to anything. It's no longer in order to survive, because the survival impulse is going on. The form is here, the form is surviving. You already know that impulse. If you need to go to the bathroom, there's an impulse because the form, it's there. If the form needs to have food, there's an impulse, or water or sleep. These natural impulses of survival. Or if the body's cold, it starts to shiver, and so it starts to warm itself up, and then we can put clothing on. Or if we're too hot, the other way around. Yes, yes, yeah. This that you are is never absent. Always here, regardless of the survival of the form, regardless of your desires. No matter what they are. Material desires, wealth desires, relationship desires, all this that you are is always here as you. The quality of your life experience is quite different though. Whether you perceive yourself as experiencing freedom is quite different. Whether you're desiring freedom on top of ignoring that freedom's here. There we go. Oh, I hadn't looked at that. So the desires initially, so that's why I started off. So this natural impulse for the desire of form, how beautiful. It's what has stars and planets form, consciousness, just desiring expression in form. We see stars exploding and new planets forming and things disappearing. There's no difference here in the world of form, but we overlay it with thought. We overlay it with mental desires, really mental desires. Sorry. Definitely feels like that, because you drive yourself crazy with them. And then you pretend they're not there. So take a moment, think, what kind of desires? There's the desire for intimacy, the desire for closeness, the desire for either being in relationship or not. If it's not, it's the desire for autonomy, the desire for security or wealth, or, when you buy the next, thing that you buy, you're not buying the lamp thinking, that's going to have me secure. Are you? You're buying the lamp. But underneath, if we have a look more deeply, what's the impulse to have something? See, that's usually what's not investigated. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a lamp, because here it is, it's just a lamp, nothing going on. But it's worth investigating what this impulse is, what this desire is covering. Because desire of itself, there's no problem with it. There's not suffering with it. The form appears and disappears. There's no suffering in that. The way the species works, there's no problem with that. But we desire on top of. See, we can't stop this natural desire of form. It's like saying, well, I'm just going to stop my blood pumping right now. It's like, it's ridiculous. So there's this natural impulse to live. I had a conversation with Richard downstairs, and I said, it's like this thing about visualising what you want and what you don't. And I said, when people say they don't know how to visualise what they want, it's a lie. They're visualizing all day, every day, the disaster and the tragedy and what they don't want, on and on and on. So we don't have to even become aware of any. Like it's already going on. It's about just stopping for a moment, stopping, and experiencing what's here, falling more deeply here. All the way here. This freedom that you already are exists regardless of what you know and understand, regardless of how your life looks. But you believe on top of that that you need something, that you need to make something happen, not make something happen, control it, or that you need to have hope for freedom. So something has you distracted. And if you're willing to feel what that is, see, that's where then all the desires stem from, that's unmet. In order to be safe, in order to be in control, in order to survive, in order to be loved, in order. But we don't notice. We just think, I'm easily distractible. I'm easily having something grab me. Nothing grabs us. Here we are. So it takes a huge willingness to really explore, to stop, to really explore, what is this? There's something, there's some sensation, whether we name it or not, there's some sensation that we believe has to be met in order to survive. So we have to be willing to, those words, sink in here, softly, quietly, deeply, terrifyingly, because usually there's some fear which is motivating all of it. The fear that we won't survive. Oh, so when I use the word met, what I'm referring to is that we're willing to be fully present to what's here, meeting whatever arises here in the moment, fully, without moving. Because that moving straight away into the thought is in order to avoid meeting what's here. That's all. It's a mechanism. So it can be. The words are all quite difficult, aren't they? Because then we could use that as well. I'm just experiencing what's here, and I'm still experiencing what's here, and I'll spend my whole life now experiencing what's here. So we could use that word, but then it could... And meeting what's here, we can see what... And this is what the mind does. It has a field day with the whole thing, with language. Directing your attention here. So noticing, first of all, in the form, it'll show up as a kind of a That's a good word, because we can't make anything out of that. Isn't there? There's something, there's a clench, or there's a grip, or there's a tremor, or there's a hot or a cold, or something happens. There's some sensation, but we don't usually stop long enough to discover it, whatever it is, and just to open here as we are. So then the desires arise from here. I need this and I need this and I have to do this and I have to do that. But when we're willing to meet this, whatever it is that's unmet, to experience it, to explore it, to open to it. So not explore it with the mind, not figure out why it's here, but to open. I said to somebody recently, it's like on the one hand, being a scientist, not a mental scientist, a scientist with wide open curiosity, with that level of attention to detail. So on the one side, whilst being the wide open embrace of all the love of all the mothers of the whole world. At the same time, here. So it's like this innocent, curious embrace of whatever's here. And we get to open. We get to open to how uncomfortable it is. Yeah, that. See, you already know. We know there's this, whatever it is. So then all our desires, all this desiring for a better life and even to be free is on top of this. It's on top of this. And when we're willing to be here, fully here, present, even the word present, people go, I'm present. And off they, yeah, of course I'm present. Here, totally present here, as you are. All sensation, all thought, all emotion, everything, without following any of it, without buying into any of it, without listening to any of it. Just letting it be here because it's already here, you've just been pretending that it hasn't been. But when we're willing to really be broken open without trying to fix it or change it, without trying to make it okay, to be brought to our knees, then right here something's discovered as the heart breaks open. And then this that you'd been desiring, manufacturing on top, here just the desire of your own heart without thought is showing up as this life. But we have to be willing. This where you say, feel emotional. Be emotional. That's okay. Fall apart. That's okay. Break open. That's okay. See, we've been told whatever version, like good girls don't cry or I don't know, there's some version of whatever, or boys, we've got boys in, girls and boys in the room. But it's like there was this tiny incremental leap between just this natural desiring of the survival of the form to believing our thoughts about it. That happens so early on, this tiny little leap, which is all part of the mechanism of survival. It's not separate to that, it's all part of the mechanism. But we suffer because we believe it. We suffer it because all of our desires are arising from it. But we have to be willing to be broken open to the truth. And it's not usually that we just go, "Ah, I discovered the truth, here I am, how delightful." If we've been repressing and denying what's actually been going on here. I mean, there is the possibility of this. But we want that first, without meeting whatever's been going on. Without meeting, I'm afraid I can't do it. I'm afraid I'm not enough. I'm afraid I won't be loved. I'm afraid I'll be left. I'm afraid I'll never measure up. I'm afraid I'll never know enough. Like on and on. This, whatever it is that's on top. We have to be willing to be still enough that whatever this desiring is, that we're willing just to pull back first and see. And then this natural desire that's not born of thought, it's not born of unconscious behaviour, it's not born of anything repressed. The true natural desire of the heart is experienced. Everything can be experienced as love because everything is love. Love is this that you are. Love is this that's freedom. Love is not an idea of what you think love is. Everything is this, the one self. But we think we're separate, which is why we think we have to have these desires met in order to be someone, even the desire for freedom. If it's on top of, which is that beautiful example that was shared before. I can't think of the woman's name. She wrote the book. It's called Surprised by Grace. And it's her encounters with Yantra-ji and how she and her husband, were on this path together of being free, being awake, being enlightened. Like that was their search. And her experience was that she just started to fall in more and more and more. And as she started to fall in more and more and more, he started to realise that, I don't know that that's actually what I'm wanting. I've been saying it's what I've been wanting, but it's on top of. And that's why I say met. When he finally met the truth, respect, and could really be one with that. However that happened for him. Then the truth for him was he wanted freedom. He wanted this. That's what opened for him. Because it's what he discovered was here. Because we can never be loved enough ever to fulfill that bit that feels like it's not. We can never be safe enough to fulfill that bit that feels unsafe. So we have to meet that devastating quake and be broken open to what's here. And not move. Now that doesn't mean that action doesn't get taken, which is why I use those words, money, desire and freedom. We live in a world where we work, we relate, we live. We pay for things that we do. But if it's all on top of, then we're suffering. Or living in the hope that one day maybe, someday, maybe, something will happen and we'll be free. and we miss what's here. Regardless of whether we have or don't have money or love or respect, control, anything, whatever it is. But it really takes being still and the willingness to be here fully as you are. Because it's like this, we go, yeah, I'll be here fully as I am, but I'll just put that mask on, don't we? Or this one, or that one. Oh yeah, now I'm here, I'm present. Do you see? It's just such a lie. So the bit that gets overlooked is that we experience this that's wide open and then we go, oh yeah, done. But how wide, how vast, how endless are you willing to really discover this fully? Endlessly here, this that has no end, no bottom, no top, no sides. There's no end to the possibility of staying here and discovering this that you are. And there's no effort in staying here. You can see it, it's just something's just softened. Beautiful, so beautiful. So then if the mind kicks in, the habit, what a beautiful pointer back home. That's all. Because then we go, oh no, the mind's doing, yes, thank you. Pointing home, how beautiful. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, it's nothing to do. It's just to allow the thought, allow the sensation, allow whatever is here. Why? Because it's already here. It's already here. And then you get to discover more and more deeply this. And then the truth is, when fear arises, it really is, it's just fear. Or maybe it's just fear. But you get to feel it. Or upset, or anger, or tears come, or you get moved. You already know this is you. There's nothing you need to do to keep this here. This already is you. But every time that thought comes, even that, oh, I wish Yantra was on my shoulder, that's enough. Yes, the reminder here, yes. That's all. So then I'm already there. The other thing that you said as well was, what about when okay, I'm in a situation where someone triggers me. So assuming that someone's going to trigger you sometime in the future other than here, and wanting to know what to do about that doesn't exist. Yeah. So then when you stay here, you get to meet someone freshly. Otherwise what we're doing is we're meeting this projected idea already of who they are. Now they may have triggered you before, but you actually have no idea. And yet if we're being motivated by the fear of that's what's going to occur, then we're not here just as we are freshly with whoever's showing up, and it doesn't give them the possibility to discover something fresh either. So right now, here you are here. In a few moments, here you are here, or maybe you're standing up, but here you are here. So we can't give a formula for what's going to happen because we don't know. We don't know if fear's going to come up. We don't know if you're going to be triggered. We don't know even who they are. So the feeling, yes. See, we don't need to project ourselves though into something that's not here. It's what's here. If that's what's arising here, yes, fear is here. Yes. Yeah, but did you hear that? The thought of it, thinking it, triggers fear. If you don't think it and you stay here. So a thought arises and you either follow it or you don't. But you can see clearly following that thought generates fear. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, you check. That's good. You check. So you can allow the thoughts to come and go because they're already coming and going. You can follow them or not. So this time you have, and there's fear, so you can see that. And then you open and you allow the fear that's here, that's nothing to do with anything else or anyone else. It's just fear here. That person isn't here. The thought isn't even real. Where is it and what's it made of? So it's something intangible just came up as a response and through the brain. Yeah? So then all you're doing is meeting the fear here. This fear right now. So everything that's happening like this is an opportunity to meet the fear. You said earlier there was a lot of different things that you could see, a lot of different desires that were covering the fear. Or that fear was motivating maybe the desires. So it's just an opportunity to feel this and open. And not make it be about anyone. Because we don't know. See, we live as though we know someone. We live as though we know who they are and what they are like. We don't know anyone. When you meet someone, hear just this. So now bring in something, like bring it in right here, and then see me through that. Anything. So like you would with whoever that person is, bring something in, some thought, and then see me through that. I know, but yeah. But what happens, so you can see what happens, so you're having to bring something in and you're seeing them through a filter, but it's still not who they are. So that's not saying that whatever's happened before hasn't happened, but what's happening right here. This is what's overlooked. Right here. So the willingness for you to really be riveted here, not in the fear of what may or may not happen based on what has or hasn't happened. So it causes you to feel something hot, cold, sensation, opening, whatever it is, opening, whether you label it fear or not, opening here. The thought that comes in changes totally what occurs here. Now, we don't know in a meeting with someone what's going to occur, and it may or may not be what we want, intend, expect. It may be exactly what we had feared, but we're not meeting it from a place of fear because we're willing to be with the fear when it arises. So we're just meeting freshly, which allows the other to actually be as they are. Because we could, where you say, but I'm not triggered by somebody else. We could change it into a totally different thing. Well, what if it's about love? Well, I only feel like that because I love. I don't feel like that with someone else because I don't love them. So it doesn't make any difference what thing we use. I only feel like that because I'm triggered. I don't feel like that because I'm not triggered. You see, we could use anything. So are we going to use a thought, no matter what kind of thought it is, to move away from here where we are? Yeah? So if there's fear in the moment, you can open to fear. If there's love in the moment, you can open to love. If it's unknown, you can open to unknown. And then you see there's no formula, there's nothing to hold on to. There's just being present. And it might set that tremble off because we have no idea what's going to happen. Because that's the reality. We don't ever know. Even if you're psychic, you still don't know. You're getting impressions. Yeah? So then this is where we have the choice for the stake in the ground. Am I going to be true here? No matter what. Am I going to be here fiercely in love here with this no matter what? So it doesn't mean we have to pull someone to us or push them away. We're just here. Just here, open. Whatever's here. May not be comfortable. We have no idea. You may be pleasantly or horrifically surprised. Really? I mean, that's the truth, isn't it? Oh, whoops. Is that something that I dropped? Oh, glasses. Thanks, darling. Sorry. We have no idea. And so the fearful mind wants to have an idea. It wants surety where there isn't any. So we just be clear straight away, there isn't any, no surety. Stay here no matter what. And if it rocks us, it rocks us. If there's pain in our heart, there's pain in our heart. But we're not living projecting about something that hasn't happened, that's not here. In life there will always be things, events, people, circumstances that we like and we don't like. We can pretend like it's not there, or we can be still and be broken open to both the beauty and the horror of all of it. But it takes the willingness to be broken open. It takes the willingness for our hearts to break. It takes the willingness to speak the truth, to see what's really here, speak the truth to ourselves. Whether it's I love, or I hurt, or I'm afraid. Speak the truth to ourselves about the desires that arise, that are arising from those fears. I want, I need. But if we're willing to just stop for a moment and open, then there's a choice. Do we really want and need whatever that desire is? Is it actually a true desire? There's no right or wrong. There's just whatever's truthfully arising here. No one can say, oh, yes, that one's a truthful desire, and that's not a truthful desire. This is a discovery. To allow love or life or self or God or whatever you want to call this that you are, allow it to be the impulse that's living and motivating the whole life. Motivating all desire. And life presents the opportunity again and again and again. It's like this humbling process. It's like we signed up for this kind of, to be humbled somehow. Oh, you think you know? Yeah, right. Oh, you think you want that? Oh, yeah, right. Oh, you think you got it now? Oh, yeah, right. To be humbled. Oh, you think you know what love is? Oh, yeah, right. Whatever, it's like being humbled again and again and again and again. So there's no particular way your life needs to look. There's no particular actions that you need to take. There's nothing that you need to do or not do. This that you are is already free. This that you are, you discover it again and again, is already here. This peace, this love, this quietness, this grace is already here, living you, moving you. This life, it's an opportunity just to say yes more and more to this again and again. You know, even when we think we know what's right or better for another, how do we know? Even when it's coming from a place of care, how do we know? How do we know what each life is needing, desiring for itself? And then we go around, you know, like I said, if you all just did whatever this right thing is. It's so funny because my dad used to say something like that. If we just did away with all politicians and everyone was just like, that's what he used to say, the world would be a much better place. So what a blessing we have this opportunity to be here. To be here as we are right now. To open to anything, fear, resistance, anything. And to be moved by love. And if you don't want to call it love, call it something else. Self, God. If you don't want to call it God, I don't care. She's gone, had enough of satsang now. It's probably that time. So it's beautiful now. You get to discover right here, this moment, what desire is. What freedom is. Beautiful.